Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. It's a little extra stressful on Wednesday.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, just have like stuff to council plus planning commission. It's an interesting March.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, hopefully it'll be a speedy one today.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so I actually just got an email from Chairperson Thagava saying that he is stuck at work, so he may not make it today.
All right.
He will try his best to join via phone if and when he's available.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I always forget like our procedure for like if they do let us know that they're not gonna make it,
Uh-huh.
like we can count as absent, but it's an excused absence. So, but if he does
Oh,
show up, then that's okay too.
okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just praying that the kids and the dog in the background don't embarrass me, basically. Especially since none of them are mine. So it's just kind of like, oh, I'm sorry about these people in my house. Yeah.
Ah, man. Yeah.
I know it's not like really towards the weekend, but it feels very much like a Thursday.
Yeah. I
And I
get what
wish
you're
it were
saying.
Thursday.
That feeling just exponentially grows. Like once you get to like tomorrow afternoon, you're like,
Yeah.
we're
You're like,
basically
I'm
there.
basically out of here. Yeah. Do you have anything fun going on this weekend?
Not really. Just like gonna hang out with my sister. I like haven't seen them for a little bit, so just gonna go have outdoor dining somewhere.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yeah. Plus, it's I wanted to celebrate something, so like yesterday was my end of 1 year, end of probation. So
Oh, hey, happy
yeah,
anniversary. That's so cool.
thank you. Yeah,
You
it's been
made
a
it.
year.
You survived.
I know. That's the thing. It's like man, like I was trying to remember, like, oh, what did my first week look like? I was like, oh yeah, no, we were in the pandemic already,
Yeah.
and handshaking everyone that I met, and then after
And then the
that,
next week it was like, no one come back here ever.
yeah,
Yeah.
ever, yeah,
Yeah. I remember meeting you. And
yeah,
then several weeks later, you would come in with some like takeout.
yep,
And then yeah, I'm glad people are coming in to the office more now.
yeah.
Feels a little bit more lively.
Are you still going in regularly? Like the schedule still like the same?
Well,
More frequently? No.
I mean, Matt wants us to be home as much as possible,
Yeah.
but I'm the only admin who takes care of like the permit refunds and all of that stuff. So
Oh, yeah.
I kind of have to be there. So and it's easier to work without like toddlers treating you like a jungle gym or so sometimes it's nice to go in.
Yeah.
I think that was the only email that really came in, correct? Or was there one earlier?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, just the CCAG, I guess, wants
Yeah.
getting it out to that they're still accepting public comments. That's the important one.
Okay.
We should share. I'll bring it up at staff comments that Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition has like monthly meetings, like they bike-tivist forums every third, I think, Tuesday of the month.
Oh, okay.
So I know they've asked us to kind of spread the word to BPAC that they have
Okay.
like there's that. So
Cool. Well, I have the other email up so I can copy and paste the link whenever we get to
yes.
the oral communications part.
Yep, sounds good.
Cool.
Catherine, who is engineering city of SSF? Is that you
Oh,
too?
that's me.
Yeah.
So my desktop at work doesn't have audio at all.
Yep. I hear you. I know it.
It's a spy.
Hello.
Hey, good evening. How are you doing?
Good.
Happily. Reno. How are you too?
Hello.
This year's going by as quickly as last.
Sure is.
Hopefully better result.
I know we're in we blinked and it's March already. Can't believe that. So, but things are better, right? We're in what, red tier in San Mateo County, so things are hopefully like we don't have like that resurgence that like we had in the winter. So hopefully, that's a very optimistic hopefully. So. Still waiting on a couple more folks. Let's give them a minute or so. Tommy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, good to hear from you. Hey, Megan.
Good afternoon. No, good evening.
Evenings. Ooh. It's actually an interesting conundrum. Where is Frank? And we know that Chairperson Tagavis is going to be a little late. So let's at least give Frank another minute or so, then we'll get started.
So someone resigned from the BPAC? Was that, what's her name? Christine? Is that her name?
Actually, no. Christina Anderson
Yeah.
was actually I believe her term was up. So,
Oh,
right. I believe there was someone else that was named or appointed to BPAC. I never met them and they never attended a meeting and then they resigned. So we do have, I think, 2 spaces. No, I think we have 1.
okay.
It's one vacant chair. Yeah.
1 vacant, yeah. There's Frank. You're on mute, Frank. You're master of ceremonies tonight.
All right, I'm here. I was sitting there waiting to be allowed in. Okay, so sorry, I'm pretty late. So Amir is not here?
We were notified that he might be running late. He's not out of work yet. So
Gotcha.
you
All
are
right.
in charge tonight,
All
sir.
right, man. I won't let the power under my head. All right, and since we're late, I guess I'll call the meeting to order, 6:03 p.m. Could we have a roll call, please?
Of course. So I'll go ahead and mark Chairperson Tagavis for now. Vice Chairperson McCauley,
Here.
Committee Member Bowen,
Here.
Committee Member Chang,
Here.
Committee Member Gore,
Present.
and Committee Member Woodrich.
Here.
Thank you so much.
So noted. And yeah, thank you for putting this up on the screen. Could we have an agenda review, or is there an agenda review to be done?
Only if any BPAC committee member has any changes to the agenda.
No, hearing none, we'll move on. Any oral communications?
Yes, Catherine.
Yes, we did receive one email. It was from CCAG. They are inviting input for their countywide bicycle and pedestrian plan. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that link that they had sent into the chat.
Wonderful.
And that was the only email received for the month.
Gotcha. All right, so we can review that afterwards. Then we can get ahead with the first topic. Oh, sorry, I guess the approval of the minutes of the last meeting of
Yes.
February 3rd. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of February 3rd?
I motion to approve it. This is Natalie.
Natalie, do I hear a second?
Second.
Who is that, Megan?
Yes.
Right. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, I think the ayes have it. All righty. So then the next order of business will be the, I guess, the first item, Patient Zero.
Yes, only item for the night. So thank you. Give me a moment to make sure I have the right screen. There we go. Everyone can see that. So good evening, BPAC members. Chris Espiritu, your senior transportation planner with the planning division. I'm here to present on Vision Zero. So just wanted to provide a little bit of a background. This is, we're bringing it to BPAC because last week at City Council, City Council did approve this vision and policy for the city, and have tasked the city manager and city staff with figuring out the next steps into achieving Vision Zero in South San Francisco. So I'll give you the same song and dance that I did last week. But just a brief background on Vision Zero. It was initiated in Sweden as a policy in 1997. As a street safety policy that aimed for the elimination of traffic-related fatalities for all transportation modes. Now, since 1997, European countries who have adopted Vision Zero policies and subsequently implemented action plans and strategies have achieved significant reductions in fatalities of more than about 39% on average. Tracking especially where it started in Sweden, they had 39% reduction in fatalities on their streets. So the core principles of Vision Zero are as follows. First is that traffic deaths are preventable and unacceptable. Second is that the street system should be safe for all users, for all modes of transportation in all communities, inclusive of all ages and abilities. And third, that human error is inevitable, and thus the transportation system should anticipate human error so that the consequences of any kind of interaction or any kind of event is not limited to just severe injury or death. And fourth is that people are inherently vulnerable, and speed is a fundamental predictor of crash survival. So now with that, in the last 10 years or so, Vision Zero as a policy for many communities have been growing in many communities across the United States, and includes a varying different range of communities, like urban and suburban areas, and small and large cities alike. So that's the map that shows all Vision Zero communities in the US. And actually more locally, in San Mateo County, we know that Daly City has adopted Vision Zero policies. The city of San Mateo, Redwood City, and East Palo Alto and Menlo Park have all adopted Vision Zero policies. And obviously all communities around us, Santa Clara, San Jose, San Francisco has had a Vision Zero policy since about 2014 or so. So briefly, to just provide some context on the need for Vision Zero in the city of South San Francisco, is that the State of California Office of Traffic Safety collected information on traffic-related crashes, which includes South San Francisco. Now, in those data collection years, at least in 2017, there were 48 incidents recorded where a pedestrian or a bicyclist was killed or injured on our city streets. And in 2018, it was a little bit better, but however, our city still recorded 38 incidents where a pedestrian or a bicyclist was killed or injured. Now, the Office of Traffic Safety collects these data, and at the same time provides a ranking of all similarly sized cities. And South City, and this is where the numbers kind of show you that in a ranking of about 106 or 102, depending on the population, South City in 2017 was ranked the 10th, which is being number one on this list means you're the worst in overall traffic safety, and we ranked 10th. And in 2018, it did get better, but marginally, as South City was ranked 22nd in overall traffic safety. So what we presented to council was to provide them with the things that we intend to do and our next steps, which is in looking at how Vision Zero has been developed in other cities and in communities across San Mateo County and in other places. One of the most effective things that a city can do is to develop a Vision Zero action plan, which is a data-driven approach to identify high injury streets or any other specific locations in the cities where an intervention, is needed. One of the other things that we would be doing is that we would convene staff across multiple departments, including our good friends at engineering, public works, includes planning staff, police department, and our capital projects team. And not, like, I'm sure I'm missing a couple of folks there, but that's something that we will convene to address Vision Zero in South City. And of course, we will have to address equity, and we will be engaging with our partners in the community, including the San Mateo County of Education, Silicon Valley Bicycle Association, our community advisory group. So just be ready, BPAC, because you will be involved in these discussions too, especially when we reach out on stakeholder outreach. And finally, of course, we're beholden to council, so we will be reaching out to them and provide them regular updates on progress that we make. So again, we recommended that the city council adopt Vision Zero, and it did pass unanimously with council. So our next step is to, get together our staff, our Vision Zero staff, and work towards creating a Vision Zero action plan. So what that looks like, it's still yet to be determined. I'm sure, I just want to kind of highlight this as our first step. We will bring Vision Zero back as we move forward to BPAC and to our other community advisory groups in the next few months. So with that, let's go ahead and open up for questions and comments.
In looking at the data from 2017 and 2018, were there particular parts of the city that where the incidents occurred, or was it widespread around the city?
It wasn't specific. Thank you, Committee Member Gore. It wasn't specific to any location. In the initial research that we did do, staff did to look at data, this was the one that was like more neatly packaged and just recorded all incidents in the citywide. For other cities that have enacted Vision Zero plan, it's always nice to look over the shoulder of Daly City. A lot of the and elsewhere down San Mateo County, we're actually seeing that there's a lot more of these types of like ped related incidents where a vehicle like hits a pedestrian, for example, on El Camino Real. So I mean, we'll work with our across our departments and divisions to kind of look at specific hotspots that we will need to address. But for other jurisdictions, we are seeing El Camino as a troublesome area.
Chris, have we mapped these incidents whereby we or the public could look at them? Yes, setting.
That's a good question. Personally, I'm not aware of how we've recorded. I know we are, our police department is definitely recording any incidents like this. So we know that there is data that the city is collecting on when these happen. And so that is what's going to feed into our kind of like high injury network that we'll identify.
And how will this intersect with our bicycle and pedestrian plan that it's still underway?
Mm-hmm. It's something that we're recommending this to be developed as part of the included as one of the recommendations is to, we're already there, is to further implement Vision Zero policies to increase safety. One of the things that at least planning staff has not encouraged, but has undertaken during the pandemic is to actually make some changes to the bike and ped plan to make sure we have connectivity and safety as one of our the primary kind of drivers of where we want recommendations, and where we are the recommendations that we're identifying to add bike lanes and things like to make sure we have a cohesive network of bike and ped facilities. So it's all part of it.
Do you know if Daly City has done much daylighting at intersections? You know, the red curbs that
Right.
prevent car parking right by the corners?
No, in doing no, as in they have not done any meaningful levels of daylighting in some areas. So just a brief background on Daly City, they did adopt their Vision Zero policy, I believe in 2016. Actually, let's consult. Yep, 2016. But it was only in the last year, I believe June of 2020, that they released their Vision Zero action plan. So that's something that they did in conjunction with, I believe, the FHWA. So so there's some data that staff is yet to review, but one of those are those improvements are daylighting. But we know I live in Daly City. I've not seen those.
I ask because I know that eliminating parking spots is sort of a hot button issue on the city council and in other places, and it's a way to make intersections a great deal safer.
Right.
So what if there was a community that we can look to that implemented daylighting and could serve as a model? I think that would be very helpful in these discussions.
No, certainly. In speaking with our friends at Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition, they did kind of note we should look to Fremont. They did something that they're fairly effective at implementing their Vision Zero action plan and policies, and they recognize the city that they are. They're a very car-oriented kind of community, so it's kind of making things work. And there's some sensible things that they advised us to look into. So that's what we will be doing. And daylighting is a common practice with the SFMTA in San Francisco. So we can look to them, but it's pretty big city that there's the parking battles are less audible. I say that one way to say it.
Chris, would it be possible for us to be sent out this information on the Vision Zero, the parts that you're putting on our screen right now, add them to the package so that we could review it later?
Absolutely, sure thing, Frank. Like I actually took this one. It's a little bit outdated, but this came from our friends at Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition. So they kind of have a repository of information.
Yeah, because it might be nice for us to look at like what San Mateo has here when their plan
Yes.
or the city. So that would be helpful, I think. Also, if we could, to have in the future, like I mentioned, having a map with our pedestrian and cyclist accidents in South San Francisco, and you could look and it might tell its own picture when you see it on based on a map.
No, certainly. That's one of the first things we are intending to do is kind of come up with that not Vision Zero, high injury network, or kind of like identify those streets that do need that specific attention to improve safety.
Is there a plan to work with the communities that are next to us and where our streets sort of run into each other to look at the safety in those particular areas where our neighbor might have on the same street a speed limit of 40 miles per hour where we have one of 30, and maybe working with them to make sure that our speed limits and everything are integrated for safety along the street, not just in our particular area?
Certainly, it's one of the things we're forecasting as one of our action items. So I don't know if BPAC was aware, but in the last, I would say, month or so, Town of Colma has released a draft, or maybe they've already released it, a plan for their bike and ped plan, like improvements that they were identifying, which includes like connections to South San Francisco, and we just wanted to make sure that we're in sync with them and what we're planning for, where the township and our city meets. So we're definitely going to coordinate with our neighboring cities if we are pursuing something as one of the more frequent improvements that come out of Vision Zero is lowering the speed at certain roadways, because like a 5-mile difference actually it's a difference between life and death on some streets. So if we're lowering the speed on one street, we'll definitely make sure to coordinate with a neighboring city to see what their plans are for that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I had one observation. I'm curious, like what other towns have done about this, but one of the things I've noticed walking around, even through my neighborhood, kind of near Grand Avenue, is there's a number of streets that are just unfortunately super narrow. And so everyone that lives on the street more or less parks on the sidewalk. And so you end up in these situations where, like, if you're a pedestrian, you kind of have to keep, like, sometimes they're literally parked adjacent to like a fence nearly, so that you can't even really get through on the sidewalk, especially if you're like walking two abreast. I don't know if other towns have like any type of guidelines they've imposed or things. I mean, I wouldn't want to just be like not understanding, because obviously there's few options with, a lot of cars in these neighborhoods. There's nowhere to park. People go on the curb. I don't know, like, if there's things to do, or if that should mean that you bring the speed limit down a little bit more in those areas, or put those speed bumps or something. Because I just feel like there's just so much more risk of just someone meandering around, and because people fly through there sometimes on these really narrow little streets. But
I feel you on that, committee member Bowen, because I'm often on those sidewalks with my children in a stroller or in a carrier, and it's very unfortunate. And we've reported it to the police department via C-Click Fix, and they've come out and ticketed those folks, but it's a pervasive issue, and it doesn't seem like enforcement is really doing the job.
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, the only response is that usually it's a matter of enforcement, so that and if the problem persists, then we will likely have to look at some other means of enforcing that they can't. Well, I mean, we already have at least in our planning code that any of like residences that use their driveway as additional parking, that they can't have. It has to be a specific like length, so that their bumper doesn't hang out onto the actual path of travel. But again, yeah, enforcement, maybe it's like a tougher fine, like that's really one way to like come about it. But we'll have to look into like solutions like that if that is something that's persistently happening on this narrower sidewalks.
On another thread, regarding those very large vehicles, we know that SUVs and trucks with their larger front ends and greater masses are more deadly in crashes with any other vehicle, and as well as bicyclists and pedestrians. Do you know if any Vision Zero plans across the nation have dealt with this in any way by perhaps discouraging drivers from purchasing those vehicles or owning those vehicles, whether that's a vehicle permit or a vehicle tax, or perhaps even some roads in the city that are not travelable by vehicles of a certain size?
No, it's a good question, and just to kind of like gas your hopes there, the research we've had is that other cities, any other community, it's kind of like a sugar tax that that people will, like, when you say you can't buy an SUV, it's like impedes on folks' rights. So that's unfortunately, like, like we can't stop folks from buying large vehicles. But so we've seen some areas that have tried to like discourage that on like, narrower streets, and when their street grid is something like that, where it's a lot, smaller, but it hasn't like, it's not popular, that's for sure.
I mean, there are streets in the city that limit commercial traffic.
Right.
So large trucks can't go on the streets, or I should say aren't supposed to travel on the streets,
Right.
but they do anyway.
Chris, this is Adina. Can I jump in?
Sure
and
thing.
talk? Okay, great, thanks. Hi, everybody. This is Adina. I'm a senior planner, also with the planning division. I've been to a few I've brought projects to a few BPAC meetings. So one thing I did want to mention, it just popped into my head about the SUVs, is we don't, I haven't seen any, as Chris kind of, I think the reference to the sugar tax is a good one. But one thing we have done recently, which a lot of cities are doing, is incentivizing compact parking spaces in new development. So to kind of like make it a little easier for residential developers to allow and have more compact parking spaces to hopefully incentivize more people to be able to buy and comfortably drive compact cars in new development. So it's not exactly discouraging large SUVs, but more so encouraging the smaller purchase of cars.
Not to beleaguer the point, but it does seem to me that a sugar tax is perhaps not the correct analogy, because those people purchasing Coca-Colas are not killing other people with those Coca-Colas.
Well, if we have a better analogy, I'm
true.
welcome to it. Yeah.
I get the sentiment, and I understand that people don't want to be penalized for their personal choices or told what to do, but owners of large trucks and large SUVs pose more danger on the roads than anybody else. And if we can, again, discourage them from blocking our driveways, blocking our sidewalks, polluting our air, and killing our citizens, then I do think we should take every step that we can to do that.
Yeah. Well, maybe when the gasoline goes up to $4 or $5 a gallon, it might be that's your sugar tax, Chris. Huh? Yeah. All right, any more questions on the Phase and Zero plan? Hearing none, thank you, Chris. That was a great report and stimulating. Okay, any other committee comments and anything else?
Sorry, I do want to say one more question.
Sure.
Do we know the timeline for our Vision Zero? Like, how long is it going to take for us to implement this in full?
No, not yet. We just got started. So it's identifying the staff that's going to be involved, and then looking at our problem areas, because right now we don't know those yet. So then that's why that stakeholder outreach is important, because we want to make sure that we're working with our communities and our community advisory groups on, setting a date, our target. But the bigger lift is to come up with that action plan, and we don't know what that looks like yet. So we're pretty new to this. So
Just wondering.
I'll ask one more.
I understand. It's a long
I'll
process.
ask one more question too then. Are we going to do it in-house, or are we going to contract it?
Well, to be determined, Frank. I'm assuming we were going to do a lot of this similar to a lot of our efforts. We would do it in-house because that's, the holders of our information that we need is, we already have them in the city. And so, and to figure this out, it's going to take all of us, but I'm not excluding contracting out to to a consultant for that.
All right. Alrighty, that's it. Any additional staff comments?
Yes, BPAC, I just wanted to notify everyone that our Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition actually has a, a monthly Bikevist forum that they host every month, which is typically occurs on the third Wednesday of every month from 5 to 7 p.m. So I haven't received any information that they were so likely that it will happen on March 17. I haven't received a formal invitation for that, but if anyone from BPAC was interested in attending those, they're, like we're gonna send you the information and how you can interface with the Bikevist forum.
Well, unfortunately, that's St. Patrick's Day, and that's sacred to some of us.
Right. I get it if others have priorities.
Well, in prior years, maybe this year we can attend or listen to a listening.
Right.
Yeah. Is that it for staff comments?
Yep, that is it. Thank you.
All right. Without further ado, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Natalie. Do we have a second? We can't adjourn until we get a second. I think I heard somebody say second there. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay. Opposed? Silence. The meeting is adjourned.
Second from Megan.
Meeting is adjourned 6:32. Thanks, Megan.
Night, night.
Good night, everyone.
Right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you next month.
And I
Chris, I'll
hope
be
Amir
sending
is
you
back.
Chris, I'm sending you the
Hi.
bike right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll email it to BPAC.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.